Hello and welcome back to the Authenticity Calling podcast. I am your host, Rolitza Spasova, and today we have a super special guest with us. This is Radhaa Nelia. Is that right?
Correct.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you, Radha, for being with us today. I would love for you to share what you're doing in the world and the way that you're showing up authentically. And then I have some questions about, where you came from, how you got there, just to really inspire our audience. And later on, we would love to hear more about what you have going on, how our audience can get in touch with you, if there's anyone that wants to contribute to what you're doing. You are so heart-centered, so gorgeous, and with your permission, I would love to share a little bit about our last session and just what came through
Yes.
me because of
Yeah,
that.
that would be amazing.
Amazing. Thank you. Yeah. So to start us off, tell us, what are you doing in the world right now? How are you authentically showing up?
Well, I'm here in Prague. I ended up coming here because I had a book tour in the UK. So I went there and then I met one of the authors and we actually did a speech in Glastonbury and it was incredible. And so it led us through a journey throughout the UK and getting to know the lands and getting to share the books. And I am a little woo-woo, so I was getting into the ley lines and it was like a really incredible journey. And I think of the work that I'm doing as a journey, like with the collaborative books, like we take a journey when we start, getting together and curating them. And then it's really exciting to see where it takes us. I'm kind of all about adventure and allowing the universe to show me like what's next. So it came very organically. And I'm now in Prague because one of my dear friends lives here, but I'm doing a lot of poetry here. So I'm landed in Prague now.
That is beautiful. I love the way you follow the calling. And that's what authenticity calling is all about. I feel like we speak the same spiritual language. And yeah, part of the purpose of this podcast is to really remind people that it doesn't have to be hard. It
Mhm.
gets to be easeful once you tap into your intuition, once you open to the world showing you where you're meant to be and how you're meant to show up. So I just love the beautiful embodiment that you are of that calling. So yeah, that's your human doing. Or your human being. I almost feel like. Do you mind sharing a little bit about your human doing? Like, what do you have at your own company, a publishing company? Is that right?
Yes, yes. So I totally miss that part because I'm just busy being. But yeah, I have a publishing company called Radhaa Publishing House, and we curate collaborative books. We help people, authors, become sovereign authors so that they can own their rights to their books. A lot of things are changing in this world. A lot of the way that people are doing things and people when they work hard creating an entire book, they sometimes want to keep it all for themselves, or they don't want to be told like you can't do it. Like, publishers can shelve your books for a long time, just like with scripts.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's something really important about this time period about sovereignty and being
Mm.
in control of your destiny, not waiting for permission, but like if there's something on your heart, you have to go and do it. And you can't just sort of wait in line and go, please pick me. Like,
Yes.
you can't do that. You just have to say, no, this is what's being downloaded. I feel
Mm.
it, I
Mm.
know it, and I'm going to move
Mm.
forward no matter what.
Mm.
And so we help people like that as well. But the cool thing about the collaborative book part is that, we actually are really international. We have a lot of authors from all over the world. And when this kind of download came to even do this work, it was very spiritual because it came like a download. And I saw like the world and I saw these little pins of light all over.
Mm.
And then I
Mm.
saw that it was like this book was like bridging these little pins together,
Oh.
that these books are really encoded with these frequencies that are really uplifting humanity and people that are just awakening or are on their path. And it's such a beautiful offering that we collectively bring together as this group. I think of it as a symphony because, you know, each person carries their own frequency. Like you have your beautiful, gorgeous frequency and it's going, and then you have another one, and it's just like it starts to create something amazing. And I believe that we're coming at a time where we're realizing there's more than meets the eye. Like we see there's so much more. Like if we could see with frequency, we would be able to understand that this whole world is a frequency world. And when we come together with intention of the frequency we want to co-create together, something amazing happens that's indescribable, because it can only happen when we all come together, you know. And then people can go off and do their solo books, or they use that frequency of that book to help bring forward projects they've done in the past. So it's all about co-creating at this time, and realizing we don't have to all do it alone, and that there is a better way. You know, there's the way of the frequency, and if we follow the truth of the frequency, like this feels aligned, or this, you know, whatever that is in any situation, the food we eat, to who we work with or who we co-create with, when the right frequencies come together, magic happens. And I'm co-creating.
Yes. I love it. Yes. Oh my goodness. Sorry to interrupt. I just got so excited because it's like these are the words that have been coming out of my mouth recently. And I realize how I've been holding back. I realize how saying the word magic, I work in healthcare. And so for me to say magic, I'm a life alchemist. This is what I do. You can do it too. It's a little like it feels very airy-fairy to come from these two very different worlds. And it's so interesting because I heard my own calling to actually share. I used to teach medical terminology when I taught med school. And I thought we need to share our coaching terminology. We need to share the spiritual terminology with people that maybe are not quite awake to it yet or don't really know what it means. So you mentioned downloads. So I've always wanted to share sort of with our audience, and I think this is the perfect place to do it. How do you receive your downloads? So for me, just for context, downloads, we use downloads in the spiritual talk to really share how our intuition comes through for us. And people, you know, they might have visions. I'm personally a visionary. It sounds like you are too. You see something, or some people are auditory downloaders. They hear their intuition through sound. Some are in their gut. You feel it. It's like a knowing. So I would just love to know, what was your journey to actually, less how do you see it, but what was your journey to actually honoring your intuition and really getting super clear and open to recognizing that actually this is so much bigger than you?
Yeah, it is so much bigger than me. And I think that it's important that, you know, we like these kinds of things come when we create the space for them. And so what I want to say is I was living a very busy life in LA. My background was in producing, and you know, very busy. Like every moment was like some filled with something to do, and there wasn't much space in that, you know. So I got this experience when, you know, one day where basically I got a premonition that from like the goddess herself, that it was time to make a change, and that I had to leave everything behind that I had identified with, that I knew myself to be, that I had built my whole personality around. And it was a very big ask, because I'm not kidding you. I had two rooms of clothes, you know, and I was really into fashion, and it was like a thing, you know. I had built an identity around that. So I had a lot of like physical attachments, and I realized I was actually super attached to those things. So the challenge for me to say, okay, I'm gonna give it away. So I had a party and gave away like all my stuff. And before that, though, I tell you, I did have a little cry. I did. Like it
Yeah.
was really, really like a cathartic experience of being asked to let go of so many things I had really prioritized as my most important things. And by doing that though, it's like I put a match to everything and I lit a fire of energetically of that
Mm,
persona. And so I was able to create
mm,
space. And then
mm.
was told to go into the Crystal Mountain, which is in the Appalachians. And I didn't know what I was going to do out there. I didn't know anybody. I didn't really, it was really in the middle of nowhere on a mountain with crystals underneath. And little did I know those crystals amplify your thoughts. They literally
Wow.
amplify your manifestation. So that can be very positive if you're thinking positive thoughts. But
Aha.
I was doing a lot of purging and clearing out, and some things were being magnified. And I was like, I'm willing to do the work. Okay. I'm
Yes.
willing to look at
Mm,
whatever I need to see. And it was a very kind of like a I felt like a wild pioneer, like a wild woman, because I was really out there,
yeah.
really in the middle of nowhere. And and then I was just like kind of in prayer and surrender, like, okay, after I got over the hump of letting it all go, what next? You know, where
Mm,
are we going from here? And
mm,
I didn't put like a lot of pressure. I wasn't trying to manipulate the situation or the outcome.
mm.
I was genuinely curious about what is my really big purpose? Like what is this all about? Like
Yes.
I thought I knew my purpose, and I'm willing to learn.
Mm,
To I'm willing to have something presented to me. And so I've been in meditation, and then I just got this download that it's time for us to come together. It's time for us to
mm.
come together, but in a way that has purpose, that has some structures in it,
Mhm,
but
mhm,
brings us into that space so that we can co-create that.
mm.
Even what I was doing before was like too small. Like we need to like really reach out to our brothers and sisters across this world and get to
Yes.
know what they're up to, what is going on in their lives. We have our, our life that we think we know it all, but there's so much more. There's people
Mhm.
that are going through awakenings across the world or having these amazing experiences or gifts or talents. And it was more of like an international feeling. Um so so it really became clear awakening star seeds, and it was kind of like this like download again that we're really connected into the cosmos. Like it's so much
Mhm.
more than
Mhm.
just like even earth. Like we are part of this vast
Yes.
multiverse, and
Yes.
like so exciting. And here we are just thinking about this little thing in front of us. And can we just take a moment to like realize that we're all part of something bigger than what
Yes.
we realize. And this is kind of like the awakening journey that so many of us have been on. And it's not a journey for the faint of heart, because you will be asked at some point to let go of an identity that you knew
Mhm.
yourself to be, or you thought your trajectory was going to be on, and to kind of let it go and slough off the old self.
Yes.
And it's kind of it's shocking. You go, wow, who am I now? I feel so raw. I feel so vulnerable.
Yes.
But it's because something, these are the seeds that have been planted within us are they're starting to take some form. They
Yes.
want to be expressed within ourselves, within the world. They want to
Yes.
collaborate and co-create with others. We
Yes.
don't want to just stay, we want to be part of a garden, not just a single daisy in the middle of a field. We want to co-connect with others.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. And I got the truth chills as you were talking, because that's exactly what I share in my meditations and my grounding. It's really bringing everyone to the awareness that we are part, all of us are part of this multiverse, this majestic, just like expansive space. And we have the capacity to connect to all of the wisdom before and after us and in this present moment. And we're being called to do that. And I just love, love, love everything about what you shared. Not surprisingly, I'm open to a page where it says strategy and alignment. It's like those are two, yes, what we're being called to. It's like there's so many people who are spiritual, but they're, I feel, a little bit out of touch with our human experience. So there's less strategy and a lot of this like detachment. And
Yes.
although that's the place we start, like I love what you said about identity and about the way we talk about it in the mastery method of coaching is like anything that you identify with, you're actually stuck with. And so when you said, you know, shedding that identity, being open and being willing to do the work, right? Those are the steps that it takes to actually commit to that calling. It's so much greater than we could ever know up here. And just having the openness to feel the magnitude of what's possible. And I just want to remind everybody that what you said about not knowing and just trusting, that is one of the biggest, I think, most inhumane things to do, because we're so accustomed to doing the research and making a plan and micromanaging it and knowing how it's going to go. But in reality, if we really ask ourselves, do you really know what's going to happen today in your day? It's like, nobody knows. You might have a plan, but you really don't. Like anything could happen. And so, yeah. And so I think it's really funny how much we plan. I was raised by a micromanager, and it's just been like the bane of my existence to try to hold her hand in the unknown. My mother is such a gift, and I've learned so many beautiful things, and I've needed the strategy to get outside of my ADD scatteredness, which I only found out as an adult. But to me, I feel like what has really calmed my mind was exactly that, is the acceptance that I don't have to have it all figured out. I don't have to have a plan from A to Z. I know that there's an alphabet. I know what comes after A. I know to take the step into B, and the rest will figure itself out. And I feel like that's where my expansiveness has come. That's where everything is really in that surrendered space. And also, like, I had a plan, I had this launch, I had a mastermind, I knew I had to fill it, and it was a calling as well. And being able to open and pivot, recognizing that all of the people that I'm attracting right now, everyone that comes into my inbox to actually connect, it was for co-creation, it was for collaboration, it was for things like this. And being able to just be open and say, okay, I get it. Like the push for the mastermind brought me all these amazing souls into my life, what I call spirit tribe. And that is the real gift, right? Really connecting, collaborating, co-creating, and really uplifting the energy. Like you said, the frequency in our world, the more people are going to wake up and feel safe in the unknown. And I feel like that is such an important awareness. It's such an important moment of acceptance, is you don't have to know what it looks like. You just have to trust yourself, trust the guidance, trust what comes through, trust the co-creation. Like we've never met before. We met on one Zoom call this week. And I feel like I've known you like for many lifetimes. And this is how it happens. Like this is it.
This is so it. I know I feel like we're really meeting our soul tribe.
Yes.
It's like the people that we have been destined to meet. It's like it's a divine alignment, you know, and it's interesting how it happens when we just say yes. We just, you just said yes, like the last minute, you know, there was a little thing where people didn't get the link. And so, but you got it and it was perfect. And it's just so fine, because I believe that we have dates with destiny, you know, and part 100%. Of that is throwing out the total control, but also realizing that we actually get our power back when we align to what's really divinely ours, you know, when we take that trust, that leap of faith, we're actually getting back pieces of ourselves. We're getting back our personal power. And it is hard, because we've been all taught we need to know the outcome before we do anything. We have to know perfectly what that looks like. And in sort of just, I've learned that, like, as I trust more and more the divine working with me, that it is so beautiful. And that's why, like, I do things like I just go to Europe and then I just wander off, because I actually trust that I'll be where I need to be. And I
Mm,
trust, I have this immense amount of trust that
mhm,
things are going to work out. And even if there are little obstacles here and there, it's okay, because that is also part of the path. Like, we will get
mhm,
obstacles, we will get things in front of us that tell us, this or that. We have to just sort of tune back in. Everything is asking us to really strengthen and get in touch with our instrument, which is our
mm,
intuition, so that
mm,
we can start to follow our divine intuition, our divine
mm,
truth. And
mm,
getting in that flow, there's something incredible that happens, that um it is an indestructible trust that we have
mm,
with the divine, and
mhm.
it becomes this force of nature, and it is a GPS, maybe today
Yeah.
go this way, and then tomorrow it's going to be like, go here. But
Totally.
every time I ventured out and took a risk, I've always met somebody that I needed to meet.
Yes.
I've always found friends, or, something amazing happened where it was just miraculous, but it's just because I said yes.
Yes.
So the power of that is, it's incredible. And it's hard because our root chakras a lot of times we get attacked by all the stuff going on.
Mhm,
It can be very traumatizing. It can be
mhm,
very and we maybe even feel like ashamed that we're happy or that we're doing something good. Like,
mm,
there's that feeling of like everybody is so sad. Like, should I be sad? But then there's also this thing where we're, frequency keepers. And I've
yes.
talked about this a lot. And being a frequency keeper means that we are still keeping the frequency, not because we're arrogant or we're ignoring
Mm,
what's going on.
mhm,
It's because we know that it is vital that somebody keeps a frequency at a certain place, so that it's like being a placeholder of
yes.
creation. Because if we all dropped to the floor and just, fell, what would happen? There is this thing where we're going up and down with the frequencies, so we do have to have some kind of pillar of
Mhm,
light that we're walking through the world with, so that
mhm,
things go up, things go down, but we're still staying steady.
mhm, mhm.
And that is important for everyone around you.
Yes.
It's not, you're not doing service by dropping.
Yes, yes. The empath comes up for me. So that's something
Yeah.
like this happened to me last year, and I brought it to my mentor coach and I said, you know what? I'm an empath and I find myself when I'm supporting someone, I really feel for them. She said,
Mhm.
no, no, don't use that as an excuse. She's like, that's not actually you feeling them. It's you, something within you also shares that same emotion about the experience that they're going through. They're your mirror. However,
Mhm.
if you drop down to their energy level, like you said, their frequency, you can't bring them up. You have to stay where you are,
Yeah.
hold that safe space, do your
Mhm.
work on the side. But as you're holding space, your purpose in this world is to bring people up to where you are, not to fall and feel
Yeah.
like help them to feel that you empathize. It's true to hold the space to empathize with where people are, but that doesn't mean to fall, like you said, to that level, to that frequency of hopelessness or helplessness or despair. There's an emotional range, there's also a spiritual range of how we show up in the world, and it is so inspiring, so uplifting. And as we show up and as we have these people in our lives, I've been called into some of the darkest places. Like when I share with people what I've been through, most people can't believe that I'm 37 and I've had all of these different life experiences and moments and careers, like 4 jobs at the same time. So I'm like, people are just shocked. And it's we are being called. And I feel like I've always trusted that calling to step in and do the thing that I'm being called to do. It hasn't always come with great joys or bliss, or it's been a journey. It's been a tough journey for a lot of the times. And now that
Yeah.
I'm at this place of recognizing I don't have to suffer, that's a
Mhm.
choice. I used to
Mhm.
choose to suffer. I used to choose to stay in relationships that weren't serving me. Yes, it was a calling. Yes, it was a calling to support that person out of their depths of darkness. However, I didn't know how to hold that before. And now it's like, oh, right, I get to be the light in that dark tunnel that supports people in finding their own light and igniting them from the inside so they can now be a light to move forward. And so much of that has to do with maintaining it. And I feel like as our spirit tribe comes together, we're here to remind each other. We're here to keep each other aligned and alive and vibrating at that frequency and just continuing to, uplift humanity. And you're right, it's being magnetized.
It is.
I love what you said about having the discernment of knowing where you're at though, and knowing what you're bringing with you. So as you went to that mountain, you had to do your own work and you were willing to do the work. But I tell people all the time, you're constantly manifesting. We all are constantly manifesting, but we manifest at the level at which we are. So if we're at the level and we're functioning on 90% fear, if our actions are because of our fear to avoid what we fear, we're going to continue to manifest that thing that we fear.
Yeah.
Instead of focusing on what's possible. It's almost like thinking about, instead of thinking what's the worst that could happen, thinking what's the best that could happen. And it might not always happen that way, but it'll happen that way so much more if that's what we choose to focus on. Mm-hmm. So I would love to know if you can share with our audience one tip or inspiration. I have a little bit of a strategy to trust that came through, but I want to hand it over to you first. What would you say is like your shortcut or your moment of awareness, or like your light bulb moment where you're recognizing, wait a second, that's not serving me, or like that's more along the fear path, or that's more along the whatever is out of alignment? Like, how do you recognize when you're getting to that out of alignment, and how do you snap yourself back?
My body is a vessel that will tell me right away, like, it'll tell me, like, I'll feel it. I'll get inflamed or something. Like there's, like, my body reacts right away, which is it's kind of freaky in one way, but then again, if I listen to my body, and I've been really forced in some ways to listen to it, because I'm like, wait a minute, this people pleasing or trying to bring people up that don't actually want to rise. They actually want you to come down, and they want to kind of like pull you down. That energy like inflames me. And then I'm like, wait a minute, I have to like separate now. And so my body, our bodies are so amazing. They're so amazing. And I feel like we don't give our bodies credit enough, because we've put our bodies through so much, and our bodies are intuitive. That's why you get that gut feeling. That's why you have the inner knowing, but you're like, oh no, I'm not gonna, no, I'm just gonna go this way anyways. And I've done that a lot because I used to rebel against being intuitive, because my mother she's a shaman. So I had this rebellion against following your intuition. I'm like, the real world doesn't want intuition. It doesn't belong here. I literally did this experiment for many years where I literally shut off my intuition. And if my intuition told me something, I would try to do the opposite. And it's okay, because life is an experiment, but I learned from that experiment that it's very disastrous.
Yeah.
The truth is, we have, like, if that's your core, is your intuition, and that's part of who you are, and that's really who you are, you cannot really escape it. You can try, and you can, and that's okay. Like, we have to go through experiences that are off alignment in order to understand what alignment means. Like, they're really, like, the thing about life is that we think there's right and wrong, but sometimes we have to go off road, to see what's really out there, and then we can come back and really appreciate what's inside. And it's such a beautiful gift. But for so many years, I actually didn't like it. I was like, I don't want this. I don't believe in it. I don't want it anymore. I just want to be normal, whatever that means. I want to fit in, be normal. I'm going to try to do things just based on what I think. And I found out that it's a wonderful disaster that I learned so much from. And I was like, wait a minute, this intuition thing there's something to it. There's
Yes.
something to it. It's powerful. It's your navigation. And it
Yes.
also, your intuition like is looking out for you. Your intuition
Mm.
loves you. Your intuition
Mm.
is like that guardian angel that wants to hold you.
Yes.
And when we just tell that guardian angel, go away, you know what? You're going to end up in places you don't want to be. So
Yes.
I am like, okay, come on, intuition, let's do
Yeah.
this. I'm ready.
Yes, I love that. I love that you're fully embraced in your 10 out of 10 alignment and you recognize as soon as there's a little shift. And so that's a process. I just want to remind everyone that's listening that this is a process to get into that 10 out of 10 alignment. And it starts with what we just talked about. It starts with recognizing, where are we identifying? How is this no longer serving us? Where can we let things go? Where can we do our work? Am I willing to do the work is one of the biggest questions we need to ask ourselves. And as a humanity, it's like there's this push now. I mean, the coaching industry is exploding because it works, because people are recognizing that together we can create magnitudes of change. And it is so powerful to be held in that loving, that unconditionally loving container where you just get to be a hot mess. Like you just get to fall apart. You get to be vulnerable, right? Because it's a process and
It
it's
is the
not a
process.
cute process.
It's not a cute process, and you really need allies that can hold the space for you, because there are people that really can, and it sounds like you're one of them. And then there are people that if you say something, they're like, oh, I don't want, that sounds negative. And the truth is, I just had this conversation today that positive people are not afraid to face negative situations, because that is actually where we get our power from too. It's kind of a misnomer that, oh, we're just going to avoid this, but sometimes you have to look it in the eye and you have to see what's in front of you, because I've always been that positive person where I'm like, oh, I see the best in somebody. I see the
Yes.
best in them. And then to the point where I'm wearing like 20 rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
And in the end, it really cost me so much more. And this whole thing of just like, yes, be nice, but be nice to yourself. Why don't you be by being honest?
Yes.
You have to be okay with being a little uncomfortable at times in this discovery process of like, hey, this doesn't feel right. Like I'm not okay with it.
Yes.
And that means, hey, I have to stand up for myself. Hey, that means I have to have boundaries.
Yes.
And a lot of times empaths are like, I don't want to have boundaries.
Yeah.
I want to be nice. I want to be kind to everybody, but not everybody's going to be kind to you.
No. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You have to really start to prioritize yourself, because as an empath, I prioritize everybody else for so many years. I made everyone around me more important because I was like, oh, their feelings, I need to make them feel better. And it's like, no, I'm enabling. And if I'm going to be honest, enabling is not empowerment for me, and it's not empowerment for them.
It's not helping anyone.
Is like standing in my true frequency and saying, hey, do you want to meet me here? Because it's really great here. And
Yes.
if they want to show up, I open my arms, but
Yes.
I'm not going to go down a cliff anymore to try to pull somebody up.
Totally. I just want to take a pause really quickly here and just to call the audience forward, whoever this resonates with. I know this is hitting because this was me before. It's exactly what you said. See people in their essence. And I talk about this all the time because this is why coaching for me is my calling. That is the purpose, is to see my clients in their essence. And when somebody is committed and somebody is investing in their growth and they want to be called forward, they want you to see them in their essence. They want to see themselves in their essence. They want to do the work to get there. It's a very different relationship than when we do it in our romantic relationships. So I just want to call everyone here forward that even in your romantic relationships, holding the vision, if you see your partner and you see them as their potential. That's what I used to say all the time. If you see your partner showing up more fully in your heart than they are in real life, I just want to invite you to continue to hold that vision. And from a space of that trust, of that alignment, of that knowing that they are capable, but also trust their actions. If you're in a safe space, if you're in a safe container where you do have love, where you can communicate, this is where I see you. This is how I see us co-creating and collaborating and becoming better together. Call them forward. Stop playing small. I used to play small all the time. I used to not call my partner forward. I used to not hold the boundaries, hold the vision. Really, I used to fall down to that level. And people that are energetically at a lower level, they will either consciously or subconsciously pull you down because they don't want to be alone. And if you see a greater vision for that person and for yourself, your responsibility, your spiritual responsibility, you are in that person's life to call them forward. I truly believe that. I truly believe that life happens for us. There are no coincidences. There's no way that you're with this person that you've chosen to love to suffer. I just don't believe that. There's an opportunity to share the truth, to share the vision, to get buy-in, to speak your boundaries, yes, but more importantly, to show that person that you respect them enough to call them forward, that you really see something bigger and greater that's beyond them, beyond the way that they're showing up in their ego, beyond the way that they're showing up in their limitation to prove themselves right or to prove something to the world. Because that's why people suffer, right? Hurt people hurt people.
Oh, yeah.
And so I just want to remind that it is a calling, and you're doing your service to the world by being with someone that you are being called to call forward. And sometimes the best way we can call people forward is to leave them.
Woo! Woo!
Yes.
That is a ho. Let me tell you, that is an ho. We are doing no service when we're enabling people we really love, we really care about, and we know that they're doing their patternings, and they're doing it because we're allowing them. And sometimes love is literally walking away, and that is the craziest thing I have had to learn.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like, it doesn't make sense, but it actually makes so much sense.
So much sense. Why stay and suffer together, right?
Yeah.
Something I heard, which like continues to resonate, and I know I'll keep it with me for the rest of my life. Lead with love and leave with love. Instead of staying and suffering together and becoming toxic. As a Virgo, for me, when I'm hurt, my shadow self, the way I used to be, authentic communication and just sharing vulnerably, this is what you did and it really hurts me because I made it mean this about me. That was not, I wasn't taught, I didn't learn, I didn't know that that is an effective way to communicate and call people forward. Now I do. But we all have the capacity to become extremely toxic when our boundaries are crossed. And that is not the place to stay. Once you see, the universe is showing you, okay, it's time to leave. Time to speak your truth and time to go. Go with love.
It's so true. It is so true. It is I'm a very loyal, like my nature is very loyal. But that has also been a toxic trait because my loyalty became poison when people were bringing that toxicity. And I was like, no, I'd make excuses. Oh, no, they're just so traumatized.
Yes.
And I'm grateful for the lessons I've learned because it really helped me understand that love is not just like succumbing to this undying loyalty where you allow anything to go, because you're not doing service to their soul. At the end of the day, we're all here temporarily, and it's a soul that is seeking the experience. If we can give people what they truly want, which is not what their ego wants, but what their soul
Yes.
wants.
Yes.
That is the most beautiful act you could ever do.
Yeah.
It's just the most beautiful thing. And it's hard to believe that is what true love can mean at
Yeah.
times.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I would love to, at this point, just first let that really land, because I feel like that's, as we've talked about a lot of heavy. I feel like we could go on forever, because this
I
is like,
know.
it is such, we'll do this again, I'm sure. I have a feeling. But I would love to circle back to the space that you held just this earlier this week on the weekend, for us to really get heart centered and to call us into that space. For me, it's been a journey. I think it's going to be a forever journey to really open up my heart completely. It's been closed for quite some time. I shared that it was almost like it was shining through a tiny little peephole, and now it's like
Mm.
Pandora's box has been opened. And the feeling that I had, I want to share the poem that I wrote, but I would love for you to share with our audience. What are you doing now? What is this beautiful book that you're co-creating and that's being called from you? And how can people get involved? And just if you want to share a little bit about the session we had together.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we had a really lovely session about intuitive writing. And again, it's intuition, because I believe that the best writing, it's not so mental that it's here outside
Mhm.
of you in this sphere. I actually believe that it's here,
Mm,
in our heart. The
mm,
chambers of our heart are wise beyond measure.
mm,
And so many of us don't allow the chambers of our heart to speak to us because we're actually afraid of what it's going to say, the truth that it's going to bring. And therefore, it takes tremendous courage to do anything from your heart, to love really deeply from your heart, to write from your heart, to share poetry from your heart. And you can see in the world how much the heart is really missing, how much we've all gone numb, how the impact of us going numb and not realizing what our heart and the heart of another would mean to us has cost us so much, so much. And it's almost become cool to, I don't care, I'm so cool, I don't feel, who cares, whatever. That whole glazed over look, that whole glazed over heart. But inside, the hearts are breaking because we are lying to ourselves when we don't honor our heart. And that's why I really felt compelled. That's why that download came, Poems from the Heart, where we get to, it is time to just take off the cloak, take off the mask. It's time to unveil the beauty, the gorgeousness of our amazing heart that keeps us alive, but also where the chambers contain all of our emotions. And it is so exquisite inside of our heart. And I think so many of us have been afraid because there's also feelings of pain. But what if we channel that into something beautiful, into something meaningful, as a way to connect to our other brothers and sisters across the world who also feel in their hearts so much? To me, this is a connector. This is a bridge. This is a way that we get to co-create and understand. You may live here, and you may live here, and you may believe this, and you may believe that. But at the center of everything is our heart. That is who we are, and so bringing divine presence to that and really honoring the beauty of our heart, whether it is crying, whether it is singing. There's so much to be explored in this realm. And to bring it through this renaissance of poetry, and to share that with others. This is courage.
Mm.
And this
Mm.
is where we understand our hearts are what bring us together in humanity as a human race.
Yes.
We are heart-centered beings. We mustn't forget the truth of who we are and not glaze over, because the cost of being numb is a cost we can't afford anymore.
No, absolutely, absolutely. And that cost of being numb, that's something that in the medical world that I come from has raised me to be numb, because you can't show up to save someone's life if you're suffering for the potential loss. You have to just put all your emotions aside and show up and do the thing that's going to keep them here. And so for so long, and even in my upbringing, I was told, you need anger management, that my anger was a bad thing, right? That, it's not safe to express your emotions because, dad's going to make fun of you. It's not, and they didn't mean anything bad by it. Our parents did their absolute best, that I truly believe. And at the same time, life brings you to this point where it's like, I'm hardened. And then it's the recognition. There's another side to this, right? There is a side of embracing the softness, and it is so scary, and it is so worth it.
It's such vulnerability.
Yeah.
That openness is such vulnerability. But the thing is that I like about our heart is that it doesn't matter what background we came from. It doesn't matter our college degree. It doesn't matter our prestige in life. The heart is very simple. It is very truthful. It is the essence of our being.
Yeah.
And it is what connects us back together. And this, if we all got into our heart, we wouldn't have no more wars,
Exactly. It gets to be juicy in this space.
Yeah,
it gets to be
juicy.
this collaboration, this co-creation, this like so much abundance of love and just acceptance and nourishment, and our whole body gets to be lit up. You mentioned when you're out of alignment, you feel it in your physical body. I'm doing a training on embodied decision making because of that, calling people into their body to recognize, and maybe I'll do it on the podcast. I think it would be wonderful. But yeah, I would love to share, if you're open, the poem that I wrote actually through that session that you held.
Yes, I would love to hear it again, because it's.
Thank you. So this was a letter from my heart. Thank you for coming back to me. I have so many gifts to share with you. Divine being of light. You are powerful beyond your imagination. Together, we will create miracles on earth, in the cosmos, interstellar, connecting, weaving, unifying our beautiful humanity, healing our dear Mother Earth, nourishing ourselves first, then pouring from that aligned, majestic space into all else, uplifting the capacity, the human experience, your mission and vision. It starts right here. Thank you. Thank you.
So beautiful.
Thank you for holding the space for that to come through. I definitely heard the invitation to connect more, to write more, to open, to hold my own safety and space for this to come through, because it is so, 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 so powerful. And I just thank you for all the work you're doing in the world, the way you show up. Oh, it's such a gift. Yeah.
Thank you. That just gave me, I was getting chills, and you could feel it. And that's the thing about poetry, like you feel it in the tendril, in the intricacies of your skin. You can feel that energy just it is something indescribable. It it touches you because we're listening through the chambers of our heart.
Mm,
And the truth is our aliveness is within our heart and the
mm.
chambers of our heart. And our heart is longing to express itself. There's nothing greater to me in life than sharing the truth of our heart, that there's so much beauty in that. And I thank you for like, you're a very magical being. You just jumped right in, you just opened your heart and you shared and you touched us all. And that is the power and impact of when we can really create from our heart
Mm.
and share from our heart. There's so much beauty that is available to us, and we are pioneers of this world and this era. We can still find our way. We're
Yes,
finding our way back home, and we're walking each other back home. And
that's
I
it.
believe that, through our heart that we find our way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. Yeah, I would love for you to share how our listeners can get in touch with you, how, if they're called, they can contribute to the work that you're doing now or later. Yeah, I would love and we'll post it in the show notes, but if you want to just share here and what's coming up next.
Absolutely. I would love for you to reach out and connect if you felt the call, if you know in your heart. You just have to tune in to your own heart and see, is this something I want to be part of? Do I want to share a part of my heart? Do I want to ripple that out into the world? Am I courageous enough? Am I ready? And furthermore, do I want to share that with my lineage and as part of my legacy? Because
Mm,
we all leave this world one day. We're all visitors, and we all can share something beautiful. I
mm,
know I've opened up poetry books and I've read poems that it resonated right where I was in that moment.
mm,
And that's timeless.
mhm,
That is eternal. We can leave something here that is so
mm,
meaningful and beautiful.
mm.
And
My
so if you'd
heart
love to
just
join
fluttered.
us.
I
Yeah.
love, yes. I was like, yes.
It's magical. We're here to touch generations to come. It's not just this moment. We're rippling into time, space, and history. And so we're gonna come together in November. We're gonna start our author incubator, where we're really gonna like marinate in this poetic
Mm,
energy in our hearts. And there's a process to this. So we're gonna take 4 months, and by February 14th and Valentine's Day 2024, we're gonna bring forward this book. So if you feel like you want to be part of it, I invite you to reach out and join us. And we do have some partial scholarships available. We'd love to have you because we're all here just as messengers, sharing this moment and sharing the eternal moment in our poetry in this now moment. Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you. And I am a testament to the space you hold and the calling you share to actually vulnerably, openly just receive what comes through. And it is so, so powerful. So yeah, for anyone out there who's been called to write, who's been called to express, who's been called to really show up. And it's okay if you've never written before, because Radha holds such a beautiful space, so much wisdom, so much knowledge. There's the strategy, there's everything. You just get to show up and just be the conduit of the truth that comes through you. And wow, it's just, I can't say more. Amazing, beautiful, such inspiring moments just in that one call that we were together. I can't wait. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your heart, for showing up authentically in this world, to serve. Oh my goodness, to trust the unknown in the mountains, away from everything you knew, to walk away from the life you knew, and to really just do this thing fully and show up in your 10 out of 10. Thank you with all of my heart, soul, all of my being. You are just such a gift. Thank you. Thank you for being with us
So much,
today.
sister. Thank you so much. Thank you for this beautiful space you held, and for all the beautiful people that are watching. Thank you so much for also listening and tuning in. We're just sending you so much love.
Mm.
Know that you're not alone in this journey, you know, that you have allies and you can find a way to be who you truly are. So thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Come home to yourself. Yes. Yes. Thank you.